Since 1947, there have been doubts expressed by both Indians and foreigners about India's ability to develop and sustain its societal and developmental design. Critics have predicted the collapse of India's political system, disintegration of the nation-state, and the demise of democracy and socialism. They have cited India's religious, caste, linguistic, and tribal diversities, along with issues like poverty, social misery, inequity, disparities of wealth, social structure, unemployment, and various socio-economic problems as factors that would undermine national unity, democratic institutions, and developmental efforts. Some have even suggested that India would either break up or be governed by an authoritarian or dictatorial regime. These doubts persisted despite India's success in maintaining a secular and democratic political system over the years. Even during times of turmoil such as wars, political assassinations, communal violence, uprisings, and secessionist movements, critics continued to express their pessimism. Scholars like Selig S. Harrison and Neville Maxwell predicted the failure and disintegration of India's democracy in the 1960s. The emergency declared in India in the 1970s further fueled the skepticism of those who believed that democracy was in permanent eclipse. Some argued that India's political system was incompatible with its developmental goals, and that coercion or dictatorship would be necessary for economic development. There were also left-wing skeptics who believed that true progress could only be achieved through violent revolution, dismissing nation-building, democracy, economic development, and nationalism as mere deceptions. They anticipated a peasant-based or worker-peasant-based revolution that would overthrow capitalism, feudalism, and the existing political and social order. Observers who did not share these skeptical views were often labeled as apologists for the government by the skeptics. Despite India's failures in areas such as land reforms, industrial growth, population control, inequality, caste oppression, women's rights, education, environment, and corruption, some observers were puzzled by India's ability to sustain itself. They recognized that democratic institutions could not be imposed, but had already been indigenized through the freedom struggle and the modern Indian intelligentsia. While the prophets of doom were often wrong in their prophecies, they served as critical voices that raised legitimate concerns. Other analysts who did not share their pessimism acknowledged the challenges of democracy and development in a diverse society, with an underdeveloped economy and limited resources. They highlighted the fragility of India's political stability and the need for structural and institutional changes to ensure desirable social development and effective functioning of democracy. These analysts advocated for the implementation of radical reforms, drawing inspiration from the Gandhian and Nehruvian agenda.